Venus enters Leo on June 30th and stays there until July 9th. And what that means for every single one of you is this. This is not a soft transit. Venus in Leo is the placement of grand love, the kind what wants to be seen, celebrated, and chosen out loud. But Venus will not move through Leo quickly. On June 15th, she sextiles Uranus in Gemini. On June 16th, she trines Neptune in Aries. And on June 17th, just 3 days after the new moon, she enters a direct opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. That is the centerpiece. Venus opposite Pluto is the transit of relational excavation. It surfaces what you have buried in love. It exposes the gap between the desire you perform and the desire you actually carry. And then on June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in Aries, the same Saturn that has been asking you to rebuild. What you choose during this window, who you commit to, what you express, how you allow yourself to want carries structural weight. This is a transit about the dignity of your own desire, not the cured version, the one that lives underneath the performance. And now we are going to take every single sign one by one. Venus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus moves through your 5th house of creativity, romance, and self-expression. This is the most vibrant transit of the year for your heart, and it activates everything you have been keeping contained. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 11th house. Tension builds between personal desire and expectations of your social circle, your friendships, or your community. Something you have been suppressing in a relationship or creative project comes into full view, and once it is visible, you cannot pretend it is not there. From June 25th, the trine with Saturn stabilized what the opposition uncovered. A creative project that felt stilled finds its structure. In love, the energy moves from intensity toward clarity. What you create, express, or confess during this window carries lasting weight, and the people who meet you in that honesty are the ones worth keeping. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus enters your 4th house of home, roots, and private life. The focus turns inward toward family dynamics, leaving space and the emotional foundation beneath everything you do. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 10th house. This brings friction between your domestic world and your public identity. A family pattern, living situation, or an old emotional contract rises to the surface and demands your attention. And it will not be resolved by staying busy. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 12th house, bringing a resolution through release. A conversation with a parent or something tied to your past opens a door you thought was closed. The home adjustments you make now are not temporary. They reshape the ground you stand on and for the rest of the year. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus activates your 3rd house of communication, siblings, and daily exchanges. The spotlight falls on your own spark, what you write, and the rhythm of your intimate environment. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 9th house. A conversation takes on unexpected weight. Something you say or something someone says to you and reveals a belief you have been holding without examination. The friction lands in the words, but the shift happens inside. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 11th house. A friendship or community connection deepens through the honesty that the opposition forced open. Short trips, writing projects, or negotiations that begin now carry the imprint of this transit. The conversations you have in this window echo longer than you expected. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus lands in your 2nd house of money, values, and self-worth. The transit brings attention to what you earn, what you own, and more quietly, what you believe you deserve. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 8th house. Financial tension surface, particularly around shared resources, debt, or an argument where the balance of power has been uneven. The opposition exposes where you have been giving more than you receive. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 10th house, stabilizing your professional standing. A career opportunity or public recognition arrives that directly reflects the value you have been undercharging for. The work now is not to prove more, but it is to receive what is already yours. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus enters your 1st house of identity, presence, and self-presentation. This is your transit. The energy lands directly on you, your body, your style, your way of moving through the world. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 7th house. A relationship reaches a pressure point. The dynamic between how you see yourself and how a partner, romantic or professional, sees you becomes impossible to ignore. Something hidden in the power balance surface. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 9th house, anchoring the shift in a larger framework of meaning. You emerge from this opposition with a clearer sense of what you will and will not comfort yourself for. The way you present yourself in the world shifts, not through effort, but through the relief of dropping a performance you no longer need. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus moves through your 12th house of closure, the unconscious, and the space where endings prepare to become beginnings. This is the most inward Venus transit of your cycle. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 6th house. A pattern around work or daily obligations become visible in a new way. You see clearly where you have been depleting yourself, and the realization arrives through a disruption in routine, a body signal, or a professional dynamic that reaches a limit. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 8th house, bringing emotional resolution, a private grief, a creative block, or relational pattern you have been carrying in silence begins to loosen. The healing that happens now is not dramatic. It is quiet, structural, and lasting. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus enters your 11th house of community, friendship, and long-range vision. The energy lifts onward into your social world, your collaborations, and the dreams you share with others. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 5th house. A creative project, a romantic situation, or something you have been building for the joy of it collides with the expectations of your community. The tension reveals where you have been ending your expression to fill in. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 7th house, bringing a partnership into focus. A friendship or alliance that survives the opposition grows stronger. A collaboration that begins now has the architecture to last. Venus is your ruler, and in Leo, she is asking you to lead, not to harmonize at the expense of your own fire. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus lands in your 10th house of career, public identity, and the shape of your contribution in the world. The transit pulls your professional life and your reputation into the center. On the 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 4th house. A tension between your public role and your private foundation becomes visible. Something in your home life, your family dynamics, or your emotional base demands attention, and it clashes directly with what is being asked of you professionally. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 6th house, bringing order to the disruption. Work routines, health commitments, and daily structures that support your public role fall into place. The recognition you receive now is not random. It is the result of foundations you have been building quietly for a long time. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus activates your 9th house of belief systems, higher learning, and the stories you use to orient your life. The transit expands your world through travel, study, or a shift in perspective. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 3rd house. A conversation, a piece of information, or something you read dismantles a belief you have been carrying. The shift arrives through words, but it lands in the body. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 5th house, stabilizing creative and romantic energy. A project, a love interest, or a personal endeavor that felt uncertain finds its footing. This transit rewards the decision to commit to one path, one truth, one direction, and to let the other options to fall away. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus enters your 8th house of shared resources, intimacy, and the unspoken contracts that bind you to others. This is the deepest Venus transit in your cycle. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 2nd house. Financial agreements, debts, inheritances, or investments come under pressure. The real tension, however, is internal. It surfaces on your relationship to control, vulnerability, and the places where you have built self-sufficiency to avoid needing anyone. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your 4th house, bringing emotional and material stabilization. A family resource, a property matter, or a private financial agreement resolves. The intimacy that opens during this transit does not make you weaker. It makes the structure of your life more honest. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus moves through your 7th house of partnerships, the mirror, and the people who reveal you to yourself. The focus lands on marriage, business alliance, and committed one-to-one relationships. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your first house. A partner reflects something back to you that you have been avoiding about your own patterns, your own defenses, your own relationship to power. This is not an easy mirror, but it is an accurate one. From June 25th, Venus trine Saturn in your third house, grounding the shift in honest conversations. The words that were stuck begin to move. A negotiation, a difficult discussion, or a truth you have been circling finally lands. The relationship that weathers this transit emerges with a foundation that was not there before. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus lands in your sixth house, or health, daily rhythm, and the architecture of how you function. The transit draws your attention to work routines, physical well-being, and the small structures that shape your days. On June 17th, Venus opposites Pluto in your 10th house. A hidden pattern, something you have been carrying below the surface, possibility tied to a past relationship or an old wound, disrupts your daily functioning. The body speaks what the mind has been avoiding. From June 25th, Venus trines Saturn in your second house, bringing material and emotional stabilization. A financial adjustment, a health shift, or a new daily practice restores equilibrium. The lesson of this transit is not complicated, but it is precise. Your care belongs at the center of your schedule, not at the edge of it. Pisces and Leo is not asking you to perform love, but it is asking you to inhabit it fully, visibly, without the ending that keeps you safe and small. The opposition with Pluto on June 17th will surface what you have built. The trine with Saturn on June 25th will ask you to commit to what remains after the excavation. These are not separate events. They are the same conversation about whether you are willing to be seen in your actual desires. Drop your rising sign in the comments and tell me which area of your life Venus in Leo is illuminating most directly right now.